So I actually watched this movie about 3 days ago, but I wanted to wait to talk about it. And just a little behind the scenes, just for your guys' information. Jovi and I, since we started doing this, we are pretty like tapped into how movies are being received. So if there's a movie that has like a lot of hype and buzz around it, like in Oppenheimer or a Deadpool, then we're gonna want to get our review out to you guys as soon as the embargo lifts, as soon as possible, so we can tell you, whether it's hyped or overhyped. Although in the case of Deadpool, we might wait because we know we want to talk about spoilers. And then if there's a movie that you may not know is awesome, like Late Night with the Devil or the first John Wick, then also we want to get our reviews out sooner rather than later, so we can share our excitement with you all, and you hopefully have a chance to see it while they're still running in theaters. And then if movies are bad, we don't really care when we talk about them. But when movies seem like they should be okay, and we're not really hearing anything, it's a little different. Like, I remember when the Crow reboot was announced and everyone was talking about it. But then coming up to its release, it was pretty quiet to the point that I actually honestly didn't remember until a reminder went off on my phone saying, hey, the Crow's in theaters tonight. So I decided to wait because I wanted to see what people's, not necessarily their reactions. Like, I wrote down my review, obviously, so I wouldn't be influenced by anything. But I more so wanted to just see like how people were feeling about the movie, what they wanted from this film. And it seems the questions, were, is this a necessary reboot? Is it going to honor the original while adding something new? Is it going to be good? Maybe spawn a franchise that, can reintroduce the Crow to a whole new generation? And the answer is no. Hey, what's going on, people? Welcome back to Small Couch Reviews. It's your boy Sam. Something I forgot to mention in that little intro I did. When a movie is bad, you can normally tell based on the way when the studio actually lifts the review embargo, and really you can kind of tell like from previews and how the movie looks, kind of like that terrible Borderlands movie that came out, right? So with this, it was a little concerning that I hadn't heard much, but it was a little too quiet for me to be like, okay, is it bad or do people just not know? So like that was my thing. Now the movie isn't great, but it's not horrible. I do want to say that. I personally have more issues with it. All right, yeah, I have more bad with it than good, but I don't think it's a total write-off, total crap show and just garbage like some people seem to think it is. But it definitely has its problems. So if you don't know, The Crow and both the 1994 movie and this 2024, let's call it remake, are both based on a comic book series. So this isn't like actually rebooting like the movie. They're both based on an IP. Now the first one definitely sticks to the comic book closer than this one, but they're both about a man named Eric and his girlfriend, he and his girlfriend, they are killed by bad guys. Eric is so vengeful in death that, he's allowed to come back in order to exact his revenge so that his spirit can rest. And when he comes back, he is known as this entity, the Crow. Now, I'm going to try not to compare the original movie to this movie too much, just because I don't really want to get into that discussion. I kind of want to judge this movie on what it is by itself. So I'm going to try to steer away from that, even though there are some instances I know I'm going to mention the original movie, but just wanted to get that out the way. Okay, so this movie has two major issues that I've seen that, kind of are like, let's call them headline issues, and everything else trickles down because of them. The first has to do with the actual story, and mainly the bad guys in this story. The main villain in this story is a man who has made a deal with the devil where he will take souls that are supposed to go to heaven and send them to the devil, and in that way his life keeps getting extended. Total departure from the comic book, but that is what this man is. So when he, ends up killing Eric's girlfriend, he does so, and he, sends her soul to hell, even though it's supposed to go to heaven. I'm not actually all that mad about the change about the bad guy. What upsets me is there's so much ambiguity with his character in this movie, and it almost seems like this movie should have been like maybe an hour longer to explain exactly what he is and what he wants. Without getting into spoilers, he has several lines in this movie that make it sound as if he has a bigger plan at play, but that plan doesn't actually seem to be it didn't actually seem to matter in the writer's eyes. It just seemed to be something they kept mentioning, so it seemed like it should matter. He would say something like, everything I've been building, you have no idea. So the reason he kills Shelly, minor spoiler, she has something he wants. And he's like, you'll have no idea what'll happen to me if this gets out. Or he'll say something like, this person can control, he has power over death. Do you know what that will mean for me in the long run? And then something else like, you have no idea what he has planned for you. So it just seems like they're leaning a lot into this devil stuff. Oh, one more thing, Shelly, her mother, he's talking to her at one point and he's like, you made the deal and you know what you got. And there's all these lines that seem to hint that this deal with the devil is a major part of this story, but the story is not interested in letting you know why it is. And, I don't need to be spoon-fed information. I can say context clues. I can be like, okay, well, you made a deal with the devil, you're evil. That's probably why you have your powers. But when you keep mentioning things that are going to happen or that have happened because of this deal with the devil, the audience, I think we deserve to know a little bit something, right? You can't keep showing me this man who has these evil intentions and is for some reason stalking this one woman and for some reason wants Eric's power, and then never tell me why. Why is he doing what he's doing? Why are his partners doing what they're doing? Why did Shelly's mother do what she did? It's odd because you keep mentioning it without mentioning it. So it's something that's noticeable in this movie. Now, the second thing is the more egregious issue, and that is the entire reason this movie, the comic book, and the first movie existed. Eric's love for Shelly. I don't get it in this movie. I don't believe it. So, unlike the comic, or even the original movie, even though I said I wasn't really going to bring it up, but here we are. This movie spends a lot of time showing basically Eric's origin. He doesn't become the Crow maybe until an hour into the movie. Before that, it's all about him and Shelly, which would make you think, oh, we get, a great love story. We get to see why his love was so strong. But I'm going to use the word boring here because that's what it is. Watching these two, I don't believe that they're in love. They meet, they hook up for whatever reason. They are so I guess it's supposed to be love at first sight, right? But even showing that, I'm not believing it. In the first, in the comic, or in the movie, Eric's love is just told to us, and we're like, oh, you had a girlfriend that you loved, she died, I get it. But in this one, you're showing me, and what you're showing me isn't making me believe that he actually loves this woman. You guys spend maybe, to the movie's credit, it does seem like a little bit of time has passed, maybe a month or two. But in that time, we see them go out partying. They hang out together in his apartment. They hook up a lot. They do drugs together. But it just seems like it's someone he likes and he's dating rather than someone who he loves so much that he would defy death for her. And that's an issue. especially since you devoted so much time to it. I mean, there's a lot of meandering and cheesy dialogue and people acting in ways you know they wouldn't act. Like, this dude is not going to just run away with this girl who he just met, spend a weekend with her, and decide, oh, okay, we're going to be together forever. Like, that doesn't happen. And again, I know they're trying to show that, like, it's love at first sight and maybe this is the one for him, but it just wasn't done in a very good way. So that first hour of the movie, I was kind of struggling because it was boring, and I honestly, I didn't care about the relationship. So obviously, when he becomes the Crow, I'm just like, okay, I guess you're doing this. I guess this is cool, but I really don't buy that you loved this girl. Now, I did mention it's not terrible, and that is for one very specific reason. This movie's action is great. Bill Skarsgård in the action is great. I've always liked him as an actor, and even though in this movie I don't like the way he was written, I do like how he acted. So Eric is not a martial artist at all. He's a regular dude. So when he becomes the Crow, his only real... he doesn't become like a martial arts master. His only power is he's immortal. And there are, I guess, two really great scenes showing off like his immortality. One involving a car, not really a chase, but a scene in a car. And then another involving the opera. And when I tell you, man, this movie has so much blood. Unlike the original, where I think it's been a while since I've read the comic, but this movie is crazy, man. Like, there are some kills that I like jumped up out of my seat and went like, whoa, like, you know, you see limbs getting chopped off, you see people's faces literally getting cut in half. You know, of course, a bunch of stabbing, a bunch of shooting. You see bones breaking and sticking out. Beheadings. There's a lot of blood here, like a lot, and it is glorious. Kudos to, I guess, the choreographer here. I loved it. I love the action. It was just fun and dumb, even though a lot of it didn't really make that much sense. It was still a good time. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun, and that's really all. That's really the only positive of this movie. When he finally becomes the Crow, it becomes a popcorn flick. You can just turn off your brain and just watch what's happening on the screen and enjoy it. And the action is that good that, you know, it doesn't make up for the bad, but it makes it so that it's not a total drag and waste of time, if that makes sense. So yeah, one other thing I forgot that's negative that I'm gonna just plug here. This movie's ending, I heard I know Bill Skarsgård thought there was another ending he liked better. And I see why. Remember I mentioned ambiguous? This movie's ending is ambiguous. It's like, what? The ending is kind of like open-ended. It's not really definitive, which is odd because, you know, again, Bill Skarsgård, you know, wanted a different ending. And the writer said, oh, it wasn't meant to be ambiguous. This was, you know, supposed to be just an ending, a satisfying ending, and it's anything but that. So, yeah, not great. Anyway, guys, I would call this just slightly below mid. I'd give The Crow 2024 a 2.5 out of 5. Thank you so much for watching, as always. Let me know what you thought of the movie. Write down there in the comments. If you liked it, I want to hear it. If you hated it, I want to hear it. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and until next time, I'm out.